this gentleman has appeared in, get this, 235 movies and TV shows. It's almost easier. Yeah, that actually does deserve a hand. He is exhausted. 235. It's almost easier to list the shows and movies that he hasn't been in because these are blockbusters. In fact, I think we should see him in action.
You're being moved by the president's orders. You, who also have not seen the evidence, are claiming he's not a security risk.
This whole you and Landry thing has never made much sense to me, but I think maybe it's starting to right now. Holy shit. Well, I knew better than to trust you.
Super 6-8, there is smoke coming from the top of your rotor. I advise you to come out now.
Have your crew step out or we will kill you.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's a serious guy in the movies. He's the most lovely guy in real life. Please give a huge welcome to my good friend, Glenn Morshower.
Thanks. Hey, buddy.
So, people are amazed. I've made movies for 45 years, and both Andrew and Chris are dear friends of mine, and people are amazed because they often think that I'm from the States, which I am. In fact, I'm born and raised in Texas, and so this is my actual voice. That was just a little wink to Chris and Andrew. We make our living changing our voices, and it's kind of a fun thing we do. So I told you that would be for you, my friend. So years ago when they told me the SAM event, I thought I was going to be asked to talk about sex and money, which was really weird. And we can go there if you wish. In the first SAM event 7 years ago, I wound up speaking about spirit, attitude, and mindset. But today, my talk is about synchronicity accelerating manifestation. You good with that? Okay. I don't have any fancy catchphrases. You will not have to look at any PowerPoint presentation because I don't have one. In fact, my heart is my chart. I really, really trust that. And it's interesting, I won't ask you to do this because frankly, I want to let you alone. You've been so kind to sit and wait through 2 days for me to get to the stage, and it's been a wonderful event. So thank you for you hardcores. I mean, really, really. But it's so interesting that when I've traveled all over the world as a speaker, I discovered that this is actually the greatest love of my life. Making movies is not. I love it. I enjoy doing television shows. I run on 24 for 7 years. Was the greatest gift an actor could ever have in their lives. There's no question, and it has opened up every door there is worldwide. Here's what I want to talk about right now, which is what your greatest asset is. Everyone, I'm assuming, knows what your greatest asset is, which is you, of course, but there's a but here. There's a however. It's not just you. It's an awakened you. I want to say that again. An awakened you. Every day of our lives deserves us waking up not once, but rather twice. We wake up in the morning when we open our eyes, but then at some point in the day, and sooner than later is a really good idea, we have to become conscious and aware of all that is beautiful about the world we live in. Metaphysics teaches us that what we train our attention on expands. In other words, what we focus on increases, or a great way to remember this is if you tell it, you swell it. Now, I was born and raised in Texas, and I just want to tell you this one quick thing about Texas. Every single person in my family sounds like this. They whistle on their S's. Even my mother sounds like this, only her voice is a little deeper than this. And all of the comedy that I've done over the years and so forth has come from the news. And I'm going to give you one example of this. Years ago, there was a news story in the Houston Chronicle, and it was about an incident, that's the way they pronounced it, that happened in McAllen, Texas, where a train had jumped the track, gone airborne, went up over an embankment and plowed through the ballroom of a Ramada Inn, injured 20 people, and killed 5. And the Houston Chronicle reported that incident in this way. They said, and I quote, "It appeared that most of the guests were caught by surprise." Most of them. Not all of them. So according to the Chronicle, apparently they felt that somebody had gotten up that morning and turned to their beloved and said, "You know what, Myrtle? I wouldn't be a bit damn surprised if a locomotive doesn't drop on our heads today." Brothers and sisters, I'm going to tell you something. If a locomotive comes through that back wall while I'm speaking, you're fixing to see me poop my shorts right in front of every one of you. Listen up. If you are not surprised when a locomotive plows through the ballroom where you are celebrating a wedding, you are one difficult son of a gun to impress. That's just the truth. So years ago, I developed an audition mastery course called The Extra Mile, which was all about, this is the quickest way I know how to say this, inhabiting moments fully. Every waking moment in your life. And this course was very successful. It was based on the fact, and this is why I think I'm a good person to teach marketing, because in our business, we are the very product we sell as actors. So how do we get ourselves sold? I personally don't hold the belief that it occurs through trickery or that it occurs through manipulation. I think it occurs from being real and only that there is no other way. Because it's interesting, bullshit has an aroma to it. Have you noticed that? I've never seen bullshit smell sweet. I've never seen that. And so I teach my students what it means to become a chronic celebrator of life. Dr. David Hawkins broke down life better than anyone I've ever said when he listed in his book, he talked about, and this is Power versus Force, the book, he talked about 2 categories that every choice we make falls into, either contribution or contamination. It's easy to remember. They both start with C. They both start with C-O-N, and yes, that is worth writing down. Because if you ever want to know why you feel as you do, whether that's extremely jubilant or for whatever reason you're walking around feeling depressed, you can see why you feel as you do by putting it on paper and by listing your contributions to your life on the left and your contaminations to your life on the right-hand side. The only rules here, you have to be rigorously honest about it. And you will see it on paper, and then it will explain things. And in order to have life start working better, what happens is we begin practicing reduction therapy in the contamination department. Things that are not in our best interest, we begin systematically removing them. And then in an ideal world, we replace each one we remove by a contribution. That's how you accelerate manifestation. Manifestation is, it really does work this way. We start with the end game in mind. This is not my I happen to believe it, but I didn't create this. This is a widely known thing with regard to manifestation, but you start with the vision in mind. Can you imagine trying to get a ticket on an airline that's called Hey Anywhere Airways, like they don't have a destination? Could you imagine? You walk up to the table, or you walk up to the counter and the person says, where would you like to go? And you go, I don't know. And they go, well, we're your airline for that, for uncertainty. They wouldn't sell any tickets because you have to at least have in mind where it is you want to go. I was crystal clear when I moved to LA. I was 18 years old. I just turned 60 about 3 months ago. And 2 weeks after I turned 60 years old, my brother, my one and only sibling, dropped dead at age 62 on the 12th of March. We were inseparably close. And I'm really grateful that I have 0 regrets with regard to our relationship and how we lived our lives with one another. Here's another interesting thing about everything coming down to our opinion. So, for example, I happen to think March 12th is a wonderful day. I think a lot of people might decide, man, that was an ugly day. No, actually, it wasn't an ugly day. It was simply the day my brother died. Let me tell you what else it was. It was a day where someone scratched a winning lottery ticket. It was a day when someone got married. It was a day when someone lost their virginity and loved it. That's what March 12th was. And next year on March 12th, I intend to raise a toast to my brother's life. I miss you, Brian, intensely. But I know that every day is a wonderful day. And for me, the secret to life is to become a chronic celebrator. First, not afterward. In other words, this is a condition that has existed within me since we had a saying in Texas. The saying was, since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. When I was a little boy, I began celebrating the intrinsic goodness of life. Does that mean I don't recognize that hard times are out there? Sure I do. It's just not where I choose to place my attention. I frankly, and I'm not going to get political, I can't even believe we're still at war in 2019. That we as a people haven't awakened more than that. I can't believe that when, in order to get people to comply with us, we think the answer is to drop bombs on their heads. That's unimaginable to me, and it means that we don't yet recognize that every single one of us in this room and in the world are brothers and sisters, period. Period. Like there's no other discussion. And I had someone tell me earlier today they want me to run for office with that attitude. So who knows? I mean, Donald Trump pulled it off, so why not Aaron Pierce from 24? All right. That being said, I want to tell you a little story about my sensitivity because I really attribute the success that I've encountered, which could almost be described as unfair. Keyword there, almost. I don't think of it as unfair. But, I've been blessed to be on so many hits. And currently, how many of you out there have seen our show? We have a show we do for Fox, also Fox Television, called The Resident, which is on Monday nights. Thank you for watching. We just got renewed for our third season, and I play the star's father, who is a billionaire. And it's a lot of fun to work on that show. Matt Zuckery, the star of our series, the most enjoyable actor I've ever worked with, right up there with Kiefer Sutherland, who's the most generous man I've ever known in my life. I just saw Kiefer last week in Fort Worth. He was there with his band. How many of you know Kiefer has a band and travels? They're wonderful. Kiefer's a really, really good singer. But I'm going to tell you a quick story, and I'm talking fast because I want to get this all in. I want to tell you the story of something that happened to me in Salt Lake City many years ago in October of 2000, and it was right before we started shooting 24. I was doing a series that year called CSI. It was CSI's very first year, and I played the sheriff on that show for the whole first season. Some of it we shot right here in Las Vegas. The story takes place in Las Vegas. Let me know if at any point you would like me to continue this in a different dialect. We can change and go through. Sometimes people are going to know about this. Cuando caliéntense porque mis tíos me invitaron a comer y chico que van. I mean, I can talk like this. It's not a problem for me today. You want me to do this? I don't know you're going to understand, but it's a possibility for me. So we were doing this in Las Vegas. And but right before we started it, I was doing a speaking event and then shooting a television show in Salt Lake City. And when I went to my hotel room 923, in this beautiful hotel in downtown, and I walked in and I had a roommate. And that roommate was a goldfish. Now, what I'm about to tell you is not embellished at all. This is what happened. I thought, I don't know anyone in Salt Lake City. I want to get to know my roommate. And after all, I've traveled all over the world. I've never had a goldfish in my room. Have you? Has anybody ever goldfish in your room? It was a first for me, and I thought we should get to know each other. And I asked him, again, none of this is embellished, and you're going to probably question my sanity, and I'm okay with that. But I looked into the glass that he was swimming around in, and I said, is it all right if I call you Gil? Out loud, I asked this. I didn't just think it. And he offered no resistance, so I took that as a yes. Now, I say he, I want to make sure you understand, I was not examining his genitalia to verify. There's just something that seemed to be intrinsically male about him. But as he was swimming around in a circle, I thought, my God, look at your existence. You were swimming around in a little 6-inch glass bowl, and your whole world is gravel, water, some fish food sprinkled on the top, and a little bitty castle right in the middle. And so you're swimming around that, and with each loop, it's like, oh, look, a castle. Oh, look, a castle. Oh, look, it's still a castle. So I thought, and my life, on the other hand, I woke up in Burbank, California that morning, had a limousine pick me up, take me to Burbank Airport, where I went inside, entered a cylinder, a metallic cylinder, which traveled at 550 miles per hour, and dropped my redheaded butt off in